All right, y'all, wrapping up this crossover Thursday edition of Locked On Panthers and Locked On Saints, breaking down everything you need to know ahead of the Carolina Panthers at New Orleans Saints in that humid dome, as Julian mentioned. We're going to be diving in throughout all that. Make sure you come back on our Friday episodes as well, as we're take a deep dive, one more deep dive ahead of the game over on Locked On Panthers as well as Locked On Saints, so you can continue to keep up with everything going on with your teams before they kick off their 2024 season. I love the way that you said it the other day, Julian, on your show. You said when toe meets leather. I think I've said that probably 6 or 7 times after you said that. Probably one of my favorite football phrases I think that I've ever heard. So thank you for that. And I think you've got more really good football phrases for us when it comes to the things that need to happen for the Carolina Panthers to get a win, because it feels like it's kind of the fundamental stuff.
Yeah, and that's what Dave Canales has said from day one. Get the football right. Don't have 8 false starts in a game like they did last year at Seattle. Don't turn the football over. Be able to actually complete a forward pass. But first, what you got to do is you got to protect the quarterback. And then the receiver has to be able to get open. Then he's got to catch the ball. Then he's got to run.
So many good football phrases.
And be able to get yardage. Like, those are the simple, fundamental things. And I ask my listeners this on Twitter at Julian Council. There's your shameless plug. If you call it X, I guess you can follow me there too. But it's the same thing. Put in twitter.com, what pops up, Twitter. But I ask people, like, what are your realistic expectations for the Panthers this year? Most people are saying about like 6-7 wins. And then the common theme I heard was competence. Be competent. That's their expectation. So what I need to see from the Panthers for them to win on Sunday is be competent. What does that look like? Being able to stay on schedule on offense. I don't like the idea of this passing offense being in 3rd and long. I still need to see a lot out of Bryce Young, out of the offensive line's ability to protect, as, again, we have not seen them together in this kind of setting yet. And I still got to see the receivers. I think Deontay Johnson can be good for them this season, but it's been a couple years. I think because of Kenny Pickett not being good, Mr. Trubisky not being good, Mason Rudolph being a little bit better last year, but still not being good. That's probably been a big reason why Deontay Johnson was upset in Pittsburgh and is now here in Carolina. And I think he's a better player when he's shown the last couple of years. So I still have a lot of questions about the pass game overall. So stay on schedule by being able to run the football, which is what Canales wants to do. He says they want to be stubborn about running the ball. That's what they have to do. And, like, defensively, they got to stop the run. Last year, first 6 games, gave up 130 yards plus each time. And Kamara's the kind of back who can burn them by in that run game. They were 31st against the run according to EPA last year, and that has to improve. I think with Clowney coming in, replacing Burns, who was low-key bad at setting the edge, that helps him. Having Shaq Thompson back, who broke his leg in this game on Monday night last year, that helps. Josie Jewell as well, who already understands the scheme from his one season spent with the Panthers coordinator Rogero Rivero out in Denver a couple of years ago. A'Shawn Robinson, better than Deshaun Williams. They should be able to, that's what they got to do, stop the run, and then find a way to get off the field, man, on 3rd down. I have concerns about the pass rush. I don't have concern about J.C. Horn when he plays. He's got to play. But there's still questions at the other corner spot. As Dane Jackson, there was going to be questions about him anyways, but he's on injury reserve for the first 4 weeks with a hamstring. So they traded for Mike Jackson from Seattle right before cut down day. He's been more of a rotational player. He's been better in that spot than as a starter. They brought in a bunch of dudes off the waiver wire who I have personally never heard of, who are maybe have to play on Sunday. So let's see what's opposite of JC and if they can get off the field, because that was a big problem they've had in years past with him not being healthy and just the overall talent level at that corner spot.
Yeah, that's big, especially with the matchup here. Let me ask one thing. You talked about, like, competence. You talked about the run game. In my opinion, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but in my opinion, one of the competent things that Carolina can do is turn their run game over to Chuba Hubbard. Is that the plan?
The plan is to this is what I always tell people when it comes to running backs. You pay them federal minimum wage, no overtime, no holiday pay, none of that. You use them, abuse them, then lose them. Chuba Hubbard's in his last year of his rookie deal. The plan is to run him into the ground. Miles Sanders, he has an out in his contract after this season. The plan is to run him into the ground. Like Jonathan Brooks, I don't know when we're going to see him, the rookie running back out of Texas, who's currently on the non-football injury list after tearing his ACL last November at UT. I don't know when we're going to see him. I don't even know if we need to see him because the Panthers have a capable back in Chuba Hubbard who had 900 rushing yards last year and took the #1 job after Miles Sanders struggled to get out the gates, just like the entire team. But I think Chuba can be really good for them this year. So they're going to lean on that run game, want to run some play action, and really take some pressure off of Bryce. And Canales talked about all we need Bryce to do is play his 111. Now, you're going to need to do a little bit more than that to justify giving all that up, including DJ Moore last year.
Right.
But I understand what Dave is trying to say.
Yeah, makes sense. Good. I think that run game leaning a little bit more on Chuba Hubbard, I think is a smart idea. Certainly, it looked like that towards the end of the season last year. And the last time that these two teams met back in December, I think December 10th, Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders combined for 161 rushing yards. Now, that didn't lead to points on the board for Carolina, but it was huge in terms of keeping things going. And maybe that's the difference this year, because the Saints, I think it helps me transition a little bit to things I think need to go right. One of the big things that they got to get right is defending the run. Number 22 in the NFL last year. They did not take the steps forward that they wanted to last year. They have to be able to get back there and stop the run. That's got to be number one. The other thing for me is actually using Taysom Hill. I mean, the dude has been one of the best playmakers on the team and has barely seen the dang field for them. There were games, Julian, where he would have he would contribute 3 touchdowns and everything, 3 scores, and then the next 2 games see the field for single digits in each game. There's just no reason for that. And so I think that's a big one for me. The
best tweet I saw on Tuesday, or maybe it was Wednesday, was Catherine Terrell of ESPN.com, the Saints reporter, saying, "Breaking, Taysom Hill's back at tight end." This. Hey, they keep trying to make Taysom Hill happen. He's still in the league. He's gonna have 10 years. The guy's gonna get retirement from playing football. Good for him. But
I love it, man. Funny. And I'm so glad that they changed his position designation for the fantasy aspect of it. But the fact of the matter is that he's still going to take snaps at quarterback. He's still going to take snaps at tight end. He's still going to be a returner. He's still going to cover on special teams. And now he's taking snaps out of the backfield, Julian, as a fullback and as a tailback. So just give him everything, but just keep him on the field. I mean, just give him the opportunity to go out there and make plays. I think that's one of the things that has stabbed them in the back over and over again, is that they haven't made that commitment to one of their best playmakers. And the final thing for me that goes kind of both ways is getting their passing game going. And as you alluded to, not allowing Carolina's passing game to manufacture in front of them. I mean, they have one of the deepest cornerback rooms in the NFL, one of the best secondaries in the NFL. Jordan Howden, the young second-year safety, is listed as the starter next to Tyrann Mathieu. I still have my suspicions that it will actually be veteran and former Detroit Lion Will Harris lining up there. We'll see if I'm right or wrong on that. But I think that secondary has a lot of talent, and that Carolina receiving room at the very least is trying to figure out what talent it has. So the Saints can't let them figure that out in this game. Let them figure that out week 2. Don't let them figure it out week 1. And then for the other side of it is taking advantage of what is a still kind of shaky secondary for Carolina, I imagine, with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, getting Cedric Wilson involved, all that. And that's got to mean a good game from Derek Carr as well. So those are kind of the 3 big things for me: passing game and limiting, all that kind of stuff.
There is one more factor that we need to discuss. It's the factor of a revenge game. Lonnie Johnson Jr. is now a Carolina Panther, and
he is not happy with the New Orleans Saints.
He is not. When reports came out last week from NFL Network's Tom Pelissero that the Panthers were planning on signing Lonnie Johnson Jr. to the practice squad and then elevating him for week 1, he came out and said, "New Orleans, I love you. The front office, we got beef." So let's just see if Lonnie Johnson Jr. has the game of his life on Sunday, turns things around, and is able to help the Panthers win there in New Orleans. So I'm just going to throw that one out there. You heard it here first. If it happens, if it doesn't happen, I ain't saying
you never heard it. He never said anything at all.
We're still trying to find the guy who said Lonnie Johnson Jr. was going to ball out. It would have been me.
Where'd he go? Where's that guy? Oh man, I love that. I mean, look, he's a talented dude. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's a talented dude. He actually looked good here in New Orleans. There was belief in terms of what he could be here and everything, and then dealt with the injury and all that, and then whatever happened with those return negotiations, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens revenge game wise.